Have you ever walked into a room and felt something shift? Like the atmosphere changed just because you showed up? Have you ever noticed how some people smile at you, but their eyes speak something else? Have you ever felt punished for simply being different, strong, or full of light? Let me tell you something very important. You are not misunderstood because something is wrong with you. You are misunderstood because something is very right with you. Your spirit carries a power that many people cannot explain. And what people cannot explain, they often fear. The betrayal you went through, it was not meant to destroy you. It was meant to reveal who was never meant to walk with you. The isolation you experienced, it was not a punishment. It was preparation. Every delay, every disappointment, every lonely night, it was shaping your character, strengthening your heart, and building your spiritual power. You were not being rejected. You were being redirected. You were not being broken. You were being refined. Like gold in the fire, your value was only increasing, even when it felt like you were losing. You are not alone. You were simply set apart. And that is why your journey looks different. There is something extraordinary rising inside of you. Something that makes you walk differently, think differently, speak differently. And now, they feel it. Not just in what you say, but in what you carry. Your presence speaks even before your words do. This is your moment to rise. Not with noise, but with clarity. Not with fear, but with fire. Because the truth is, you were chosen for something greater. And that greatness is waking up now. There is something you need to hear with your heart today. You have never been ordinary, and you were never created to follow the crowd. You have always carried something deep within you. Something spiritual, something unexplainable, something powerful. And whether you knew it or not, that gift has made you stand out since the beginning. But let us be honest. Standing out has not always felt good. Has it? Sometimes it felt lonely. Sometimes it felt like being misunderstood. Sometimes it felt like carrying a light in a world that prefers the dark. Yet even in those quiet moments of confusion, there was something guiding you. A voice that whispered, "You are chosen." Chosen does not mean better. Chosen means burdened with purpose. Chosen means selected to carry a message, to walk a harder road, to be refined through struggle so that you can shine in the light of truth. Yes, people have talked behind your back. Yes, you have faced situations where you were excluded, doubted, or overlooked. And yes, at times you even questioned your own worth. But everything that you have been through was not by accident. It was allowed for your alignment. It was necessary for your assignment. When you are chosen, your path is never easy. It is not meant to be. You are not walking a common journey. You are walking a divine mission. Think about it. Have you noticed how some people are uncomfortable around you, even when you say nothing? Have you seen how your confidence is seen as pride, even though it was built through pain? Have you watched others pull away, not because you hurt them, but because your healing reminded them of their own wounds? That is the power of being chosen. Your light exposes what others have tried to hide. Your growth challenges people to reflect on what they are not willing to change. And your faith reminds them of a truth they may have ignored for too long. You did not ask for this battle, but you were born for it. You were given a spiritual covering, a divine anointing, and a warrior's heart. That is why the attacks did not break you. That is why every time you were pushed down, something in you stood up again, stronger, wiser, and more focused. Your enemies did not just pick a fight with you. They picked a fight with the universe. Because what is inside you is connected to a divine source. It is not something that can be copied. It is not something that can be explained. It is a spiritual energy that comes from being connected to truth, love, and purpose. Even when you were quiet, you were not weak. Even when you were invisible, you were not forgotten. Even when you were hurting, your spirit was being built up in ways the world could not see. Let us look at some examples. Think about Esther in the Bible. She was hidden for a season, but when the time came, her courage saved an entire nation. Think about Joseph, betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, and left in prison. But that very path led him to become a ruler who saved lives during famine. These stories are not fairy tales. They are reminders that your struggle does not cancel your calling. It activates it. Modern-day examples show the same truth. Malala Yousafzai was silenced and attacked for speaking the truth about education. But today, her voice echoes across the world as a symbol of courage and hope. Nelson Mandela spent decades behind bars, but came out with forgiveness in his heart and leadership in his spirit. Prince was considered strange, but his music transformed a generation. The truth is, being chosen means walking through fire without burning, being broken without being bitter, and standing when everything around you tells you to fall. So if you feel like you are in the middle of a season that makes no sense, take heart. It is not punishment. It is positioning. You are being set up for something far greater than what your current circumstances can show you. You are not here just to survive. You are here to shine, to lead, to create, to inspire, and to reflect the presence of the one who created you. That is why you could not give up, even when you wanted to. That is why your heart kept beating, even when it felt like everything else was falling apart. Because deep inside you, there is a flame that was never meant to be put out. Now is your time to understand the truth of who you are. You are not what people called you. You are not the limits that were placed on you. You are not the mistakes you made. You are chosen. You are growing. You are rising. And you are becoming dangerous to everything that tries to stop the light of truth from shining. So walk boldly. Speak clearly. Love deeply. Pray fiercely. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are just being revealed. And what is about to be revealed through your life will shake everything around you in the best possible way. They tried to silence you. There was a time in your life when you felt invisible. Not because you lacked something, but because your voice carried a truth that made others uncomfortable. There were moments when you tried to express yourself honestly, and the room went quiet. You tried to speak your dreams, and people laughed. You tried to explain your feelings, and they dismissed them as too sensitive, too dramatic, or too much. But let this truth sink into your heart. Those moments were not signs that you were wrong. They were signs that your voice was powerful. People often try to silence what they fear. And you, chosen one, were carrying something in your voice that had the power to wake people up, to make them question the systems they lived in, to challenge the comfort they found in pretending. And so they tried to quiet you, not out of strength, but out of fear. They told you to stay small, to be humble, to wait your turn. But what they really meant was, please do not disturb what I am not ready to change. You were not born to whisper. You were born to speak life, truth, and clarity. And now, as your voice returns, it carries weight. It does not need to shout. It only needs to speak, and the room will shift. Your silence taught you to listen, but your voice will now teach others to live. They betrayed you to break you. Betrayal is one of the most painful experiences a person can walk through. It is not just the act of being wronged. It is the wound that comes from someone who was close enough to touch your heart. Someone you trusted. Someone you believed would stand with you. When they turned against you, it felt like your world cracked. You asked yourself questions that never seemed to have answers. Why would they do this? What did I do wrong? Was our bond not real? But what you did not realize in that moment was that their betrayal was not about your value. It was about your calling. The betrayal was allowed, not because you deserved pain, but because you deserved clarity. You needed to see who was truly for you, and who was simply around you. You see, destiny has no room for deception. And sometimes, the only way for the truth to come out is through the pain of separation. They walked away not because you failed, but because they could not stand beside the future version of you. The one who is bold, the one who is powerful, the one who cannot be manipulated. Look back now, not with bitterness, but with gratitude. Because if they had not left, you would have stayed in a version of your life that was far too small for your purpose. You were not broken by betrayal. You were built by it. Every crack became a doorway for the light to enter. And now that light is your strength. You are not their villain or their victim. You are the architect. There comes a point in every chosen one's journey where you realize something powerful. You are not who they said you are. You are not the enemy in their story. And you are not the helpless one in yours. You are the architect. The architect does not wait for permission. The architect designs, plans, rebuilds. The architect takes broken bricks from past failures and turns them into the foundation for something stronger. Yes, they may have misunderstood your actions. They may have labeled your confidence as arrogance, your silence as weakness, your vision as delusion, but you have come to see that their opinions were never your identity. Their confusion is not your responsibility. You are not here to fit their mold. You are here to build something they have never seen before. Think of the great visionaries who were once rejected or mocked. People like J.K. Rowling, who wrote in coffee shops as a single mother, yet imagined a whole magical world. Or Steve Jobs, who was fired from the company he started, only to return and lead it into history. They were architects, just like you. When you realized that you could design your own future, everything shifted. You stopped begging for space. You started creating it. You stopped waiting for validation. You started trusting your intuition. And as you built, your strength became undeniable. Now you walk differently. You speak with conviction. You no longer explain your every move because you understand that architects do not need applause, they need clarity. So let them misunderstand. Let them talk. Let them wonder how you keep rising. You are not their villain, and you are not their victim. You are the one writing blueprints for a life that will outlast their opinions. You are creating legacy. You are walking in purpose. And no one can stop a builder who has heard from God. Your spiritual presence exposes darkness. There is something very rare about the way you walk into a room. You may not always speak loudly. You may not always carry titles or worldly power. But the moment you enter a space, something shifts. The air becomes different. People feel it. Some may admire it. Others may get uncomfortable. That is because your spiritual presence has been forged in divine fire. It is not built on appearance, but on the authority of your walk with God. When you arrive, you carry the energy of truth, light, and inner purity. And light always confronts what is hidden in the dark. That is why people who carry hidden intentions, secret jealousy, or spiritual confusion often feel exposed in your presence. It is not because you are judging them. It is because your light leaves no space for deception to hide. You did not ask to be the mirror that reveals hearts, but God trusted you to be the light in a time of great shadows. People may not say it aloud, but your presence activates their conscience. Your peace reveals their chaos. Your truth shines a light on their dishonesty. That is why you may find that some people withdraw from you or act strange around you. It is not your fault. It is your calling. You have been chosen to walk in such purity that your very steps become warfare. You are not dangerous because you fight people. You are dangerous because you reflect what is real. And in a world of illusions, that is the rarest kind of power. Your healing became your rebellion. There was a time when pain almost broke you. You were wounded by people you trusted, by systems that ignored your value, and by circumstances that tried to silence your voice. But instead of staying down, you rose. And the healing you went through became your most powerful rebellion. You did not heal in comfort. You healed in pressure. You did not recover with applause. You recovered in isolation. And yet, every time you chose peace instead of revenge, you were shaking spiritual systems. Every time you chose forgiveness instead of bitterness, you were rising in power. Your healing was not just personal, it was prophetic. There were people who counted on your destruction. There were forces that believed your story would end in defeat. But God had other plans. He took your brokenness and turned it into brilliance. He took your past and made it your platform. The more you healed, the stronger you became. The more you released pain, the more room you made for purpose. And now, your healing has become a message. You are no longer moved by the same drama. You do not react like you used to. You do not break the same way. That confuses those who once controlled you with emotional games. They cannot shake you anymore. And that is powerful. Your healing has become your freedom. And your freedom is your silent protest against everything that once tried to limit you. You are living proof that no pain is final and no wound is beyond redemption. Silence became your throne. There was a time when your silence came from fear. You were quiet because you were hurt. You were silent because you were unsure. But now your silence has become something much greater. It has become your throne. You no longer speak to prove yourself. You do not chase explanations. You do not feel the need to argue your worth or beg for understanding. Your silence is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the space where you conserve your energy. It is the sacred ground where you let your presence speak louder than your words. In a world where noise is constant and everyone is shouting to be seen, your silence is your power. It unsettles those who thrive on attention. It confuses those who expect a reaction. But you are no longer operating from a place of emotional reactivity. You are seated in authority. When you are silent now, it is not because you have nothing to say. It is because you understand that some energies do not deserve a response. You know when to speak and you know when to observe. That is maturity. That is royal behavior. That is what makes you untouchable in the spirit. God has crowned you in silence. He has taught you how to hear beyond words, to see beyond appearances, and to move in peace even when surrounded by noise. And that is what makes you a true leader in a time when most people are lost in chaos. So hold your silence with pride. Let it be your strength. Let it be your sanctuary. You have no need to shout when your presence already shifts atmospheres. These 3 points, your spiritual presence, your healing journey, and your divine silence, are not weaknesses. They are your spiritual arsenal. The world may not fully understand how you became so powerful without lifting a finger, but heaven knows the battles you fought to reach this level. You are a chosen one not because of what you say, but because of what your existence represents. You walk with divine backing, you heal with divine wisdom, and you sit in silence with divine confidence. That is what makes you truly dangerous, not to people but to everything that is false, unjust, and wicked. Keep rising. There comes a moment in the life of a chosen one when the old ways no longer fit. The anger, the pain, the need to prove yourself, those things begin to fall away. You begin to realize that reacting to everything and everyone is draining your power. You see, chosen ones do not chase arguments. They do not respond to every insult or defend their value to people who never wanted to understand them in the first place. Instead, you have learned how to redirect. What does that mean? It means when someone throws chaos at you, you turn inward and create peace. When someone pushes you to react in anger, you pause and create space for wisdom. When others expect drama, you give them stillness. That is spiritual maturity. It is strength. It is growth. You are no longer playing the same game that once trapped you. You are building a new path altogether, one rooted in focus, not fear. You are not ignoring the darkness, but you are no longer feeding it with your attention. That is redirection. That is power. And it confuses those who used to manipulate you, because people expect you to explode. They expect you to break down. But when you stay grounded, when you choose peace instead of chaos, they begin to realize they have no control over you anymore. And that realization is what makes you dangerous in a divine way, because now your power cannot be hijacked. You have chosen mastery over emotion. You have chosen divine alignment over human approval. And now something even deeper has happened. Your aura has become spiritual warfare. You do not even need to speak for the atmosphere around you to shift. Your presence alone causes demons to tremble. You walk into a room and people can feel the weight of what you carry. The light inside you is not loud, but it is undeniable. And that kind of light disturbs those who live in darkness. That is why you often face resistance that seems bigger than your size or louder than your voice. It is not just about who you are, it is about what you carry. You carry healing. You carry clarity. You carry divine presence. You carry ancestral prayers. You carry spiritual fire. And that fire is not always welcome in every room, especially rooms that are filled with hidden agendas and unseen chains. That is why your aura becomes spiritual warfare. Your very existence is a threat to systems that rely on silence, secrecy, and suppression. You do not need to argue or fight in the physical. Your energy does the fighting. Your boundaries do the fighting. Your refusal to shrink does the fighting. Your decision to heal, grow, and walk in purpose has become a declaration of war to anything that wanted to keep you small. You were never trying to fight, yet your light has become a battlefield. But chosen ones were never meant to be hidden. They were meant to walk boldly, knowing that heaven walks with them. And now you have entered a new phase entirely. You have stopped explaining, and now you are unmanageable. There was a time when you felt the need to explain your decisions, your lifestyle, your boundaries, and even your silence. You wanted people to understand your heart. You wanted them to see your truth. But you have now reached the level where you understand that explanation is not always the answer. People who want to misunderstand you will do so, no matter how much truth you pour out. So now you simply move. You do not need approval. You do not need validation. You do not need applause. You are no longer operating on the level of human understanding. You are operating on divine instruction. And because of that, you have become unmanageable. Not in a rebellious or disrespectful way, but in a free and liberated way. You no longer fit inside their boxes. You are not limited by labels. You are not confined to rules that were created to shrink you. You are flowing with the Spirit of God. And people cannot manage what they do not understand. They cannot label what they cannot define. That is why many are confused by you now. You are no longer predictable. You are no longer accessible to the energies that once drained you. You have become a spiritual anomaly, an unfolding mystery that only God can explain. And that is beautiful. That is power. That is purpose. So do not worry if people say you have changed. You have. You were meant to. You have evolved. You have expanded. You have elevated. And now you are walking with a confidence that comes from the divine, not from people. You are no longer bound by the expectations of those who never saw your soul. You are guided by something much higher. You are no longer reacting, you are redirecting. Your aura is not just energy, it is spiritual warfare. You have stopped explaining, and now you are untouchable. This is the season where you move differently. You love without fear. You protect your peace. You speak when led. You act with purpose. You grow in silence. You walk in power. Because the world has seen enough noise, it is time for divine authority. And that is exactly what you carry now. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be light. You are the message. You are the proof that the underdog rises. You are the prophecy fulfilled in real time. The fact that they fear you now, that they whisper your name behind your back, that they run when you walk into the room, it is because you became what they never expected. A chosen one who did not break. Let the haters run. Let the fakes fall off. Let the snakes scatter. You are anointed. You are divine. You are dangerous in the spirit. And you are not done yet. Type, "I am dangerous in the spirit," in the comments if you're claiming your power. Share this with another chosen one who needs to remember who they are. And if this word blessed you, consider tapping super thanks to support more divine messages. May peace fill your space. May clarity guard your mind. May God continue to make your enemies your footstool. Amen.